Hey everybody, Bobby Moore here, and I want to talk about something that is very relevant to me recently, which is the idea of epiphany moments of connection. The idea here is that have you ever had someone that you don't know very well, and all of a sudden, somehow there's a moment where all of a sudden, boom, you start having this really, really deep connection. And over the years, I've been able to have some amazing moments of connection with people. And there's very special people there in my life that, over the years where this moment of connection happens. But what's really amazing about this is that they come out of nowhere, often people you don't really expect. And, I've been blessed to have several of these moments of epiphany, these epiphany moments of connection throughout my life with, maybe 10, 15 different people, starting from university all the way through my work and theater and now, with what I do as an entrepreneur. But I want to share the story of one person and how it happened and kind of the whole power behind this. So about, in 2001, so that's like 15 years ago, I was doing my MBA at McMaster University, and there was a German international exchange student named Yvonne. And I mean, she was really nice and friendly, and we were in a couple of work groups together, and for the most part, we had casual conversations at the bar when there was like a social outing or in our group work. But for the most part, I didn't really talk much to her because she was pretty busy with her work, and she was also pretty popular. A lot of people were always with her, so I really never had one-on-one conversations. One day we were working on a group project, and then I invited her over for tea. I said, let's have some tea, and because we're done the project, and we started talking. And next thing you know, the conversation just started going way open and deep, and she's very honest and upfront, like many of my German friends are, and actually turned out to be an incredible conversation. Next thing you know, we're talking about everything: politics, spirituality, religion, sex, relationships, people, friendships, parents, you name it. And whenever that happens, and this has happened in the past, but whenever this happens, I roll with it. I'm like, you know what? As soon as you feel that connection, that spark of a connection with somebody, whether it's a friend or someone romantic or whatever it might be, this was a friend thing. You should just go with it and try to maximize the opportunity. And so I said, you know what? Let's just go for it. And we just kept talking. I said, I'm not going to interrupt this conversation until there's a natural conclusion or they feel like maybe it's time to end. 6 hours later, we're still talking. It is now 4 in the morning, and that moment of connection, that epiphany moment, sealed the deal in terms of her and my connection as friends. And since that time, we've been friends on a really amazing level. It's been really great. It's been really open, and that day was a fantastic day. And I've had other ones like that too, but that was one in particular. And the reason I'm talking about it today is because, well, I'll get to it, which is, and then 13 years later, in 2014, I went to Germany. I was actually doing a speaking gig in Europe, and I decided to spend time with her. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen you in 13 years, and I was kind of worried, although the emails back and forth are pretty good. And then when we got there, again, boom, amazing, just the way it was before. Just it was almost like best friends again, and we're chatting about everything in our lives and reflecting and reviewing everything that happened. And it was amazing because this is now 13 years later. We're older, but we're still able to have those kind of that kind of deep connection where you can talk about everything aspect of your life and feel open to sharing vulnerability and feeling support and judgmental. And it was just amazing. And then I also had the opportunity to actually hang out with her and her friends when Germany won the World Cup, and that was like one of the most amazing days ever. And so this morning, she, we haven't talked to her in a year. She messaged me and said, "Hey, Bobby, we haven't talked to him forever. Let's talk." And so, I decided to book some time this morning. And so we booked an appointment to talk, and we booked an hour and a half. And as usual, it was amazing. And the hour and a half went by so fast. We're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. We haven't." She struggles with booking appointments and doing phone calls. She likes it in person, but she's in Germany, so I'm in Canada, so it's hard. So we decided to book another appointment because it was just so great. And that to me is like a very magical thing. Often in your life, you'll meet people who you have that connection with, where you feel free to bring up anything, to ask any question, you feel comfortable. If they ask a question, you feel comfortable. If they ask me a very personal question, you feel comfortable answering the question straight up. And that to me is pretty impressive. So, I'm curious about if you ever have this. Have you ever had any epiphany moments of connection with someone, whether it's way back in the day in high school, or even now or recent? I find the older I get, the harder it is to have these. Although they still happen, it's just that we have less people in our life flowing through our lives. But when they do happen, what I can tell you is that, first of all, how do you get them? Well, you have to be willing to be patient. You have to be willing to invest the time and energy. You can't be like, oh, I gotta go. You have to be willing to ask the deep probing questions. You have to be willing to answer deep probing questions. You have to be willing to share vulnerability. You have to be willing to not judge and just listen and listen and listen, ask questions, follow up, yes and, yes and, yes and, just listen. And be willing to explore a topic as much as possible before moving on to something else. And I think that works really well, really well. And it's harder now because you get married, you have kids, or you have a certain social construct. It's harder now, but I tell you, they're the most amazing relationships of your life. They're the most best conversations of your life. So if you ever see these, and if they happen to you, let me know. I'd love to hear any stories you have below. Like, where have you had some really amazing epiphany moments? I think I remember the first one I had way long ago. It was in high school. I think I was in grade 11, and I remember there was this girl, Jennifer, and we started talking on the phone. And next thing you know, it turned into a 7-hour phone conversation where we talked about our parents, we talked about music, we talked about philosophy, we talked about just all this stuff. It was just an amazing thing. And I was like, wow, 7 hours on the phone with someone? Like, that seems crazy. Is it wasteful? I mean, I've spent 7 hours binge watching television. Is that wasteful? Probably. It probably is. But 7 hours connecting with someone and talking about the deep, profound issues that, and the light and the dark and everything that we think about, it's an amazing thing. So I encourage you to not only just think about the ones you've had and share the ones below, because I'd love to hear about them, but try to understand and maybe spend some time being grateful for which ones were meant a lot to you. I think it's a great exercise in gratitude, a great exercise in connecting yourself. In the meantime, I talked about this in more detail on my new page. I have a new Facebook page called the Power of Connection Group. Power of Connection, it's a Facebook group. Check it out. You can ask me anything to do with professional, personal relationship building and networking and connection, building authenticity, building tribes, working in teams, working with leaders, working with bosses, parenting, children, you name it. And I will share my expertise and leverage my expertise, and I'll answer any question you want. The content there is exclusive. No one else is getting it, just the people in that group. Right now, there's about 25 people. I'd love to get more people involved and get them engaged and asking questions. But again, check the link below. Join that group. If you have any questions, anything you want me to cover, by all means, talk about it today. Point it below. I'll answer any question here too, as well as in the group. So if you join the group, let me know. And I'm glad you spent the time with me. I really appreciate it. And speaking of epiphany moments of connection, I'm about to go pick up my kids and from school, and hopefully we're going to have a few more amazing moments today. So wish you guys all the best. Have yourself a fantastic day.